What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Greg White from BeyondComics.tv here with your full review of Batman v Superman. I will make sure to announce before I say any spoilers, so by all means do not worry. I'm very mindful of that. And I'll just start with generic stuff so I don't ruin anything, and then later on I'll announce what I'm about to discuss, scene-by-scene breakdowns and spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it yet. Just wait and watch the beginning of this. Make sure to subscribe for updates, please. Oh man, guys, here we go. Let's start. So I saw the screening of the movie on Monday, which was a dream come true. This is the special wristband that they gave us. Really exciting to be able to get there. By the way, if any of you guys want to buy this wristband, I have an extra one. Let me know. Some people have made some comments about that, so just message me on the inbox there or whatever. But let me tell you guys, if you're wondering whether or not I like this movie, well, I didn't get these things over here for nothing. And if some of you are wondering why they look so different, it's because I custom painted all of these over here, these big 31-inch and the 19-inch figures as well. So I custom dry brush painted them to kind of give it like a nice level of detail because they look so good. But on to the movie review. My God, guys. Whew, I see that there's a lot of critics who have been, panning it and telling everybody it's terrible and blah, blah. That's BS, man. They said that about the Matrix movies. You remember how all the critics, the movie critics, hated the Matrix and it's so terrible and blah, blah. It was one of the greatest movies made, right? So this was an epic battle. It is everything I could have asked for and more as a comic book fan who grew up with these characters as a little kid. And I'm so freaking pumped that Zack Snyder did this. Of course, there's some major changes that people won't like, which we'll get into later. I understand that. Of course, the comic book fan that rubbed me the wrong way too. But all in all, this movie was spectacular. It was a visual explosion. It really, really, really was the two titans clashing in a battle of the century, so to speak, of our mythical heroes that we love so much, right? So to be able to see Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, really hit hard. And the story was very decent. I thought it was very clever. The way that they tied things together. Of course, there are certain things, again, like I said before, that's going to be different than the actual comic book, historical data files, if you will. And that's to be expected. I'm just so impressed that they kept the costumes as close to the comic as possible, that they legitimately took the exact sequences and scenes and panels and frames from the Dark Knight Returns comic book by Frank Miller and put a lot of those elements into this movie, as well as the Death of Superman comic books, and kind of tried to incorporate that too, and tried to introduce the Justice League. All of this stuff is not spoilers. This has been on the internet for the past year, what I'm just saying. But the way they did it was fantastic. I loved it. I just thought it was spectacular. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun movie. It's like when I read some of the critics' comments, the movie critics who are saying it's terrible and blah, 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 I keep thinking to myself, do these guys know how to watch a superhero movie, and what more could they have possibly wanted? I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. And I think that we're at a level where we know the history of Batman and Superman so well that we don't need to have the rehash told a million times. Let's just get to it. Like they expect you to know certain things, like Superman gets his power from the sun, for example, They expect you to know certain elements going into the movie. But even if you don't, it's still a visual spectacle of amazement. I literally got high watching this movie. And I had no drugs whatsoever. Just from watching the movie, everybody in the theater was cheering and screaming and getting excited. And the introduction of how they introduced some of the Justice League members was fantastic. I mean, it was just such a thrill. I remember being so concerned, and I'll try to take this through, in order with the character breakdowns, the actor breakdowns, and then onto the spoilers. And that's where we'll do the scene-by-scene breakdowns. Whew, man, guys, I cannot wait to hear your comments and your feedback about this stuff because I am so pumped about it. It really woke me up, for those of you who don't know, I'm a comic book artist. I drew for Spawn Image Comics issue 30, Image Comics issue number 30 of Spawn with Todd McFarlane, which was a dream come true back in the day. And now I'm going on to do my own characters, Gekido, Gekido. You could go to my website, beyondcomics.tv, and see some of the stuff there. But back to this stuff. Wow. Okay, so let's start. First of all, Ben Affleck, the biggest controversy when announced that he was going to play Bruce Wayne Batman. The thing is that when I first heard that, I have, just like probably most of you have, that stigma that came with Ben Affleck. A lot of people kept saying, oh, he's the college guy, he dated J-Lo, he has this whole history about him in media and in the entertainment industry that kind of, I think, hurt him. But as an actor, as a performer, as a director, he's really amazing, actually. So I think that we had to kind of suspend and separate, his personal past with him as the character. And looking at him, he's the tallest, oldest Batman that they've ever had, which works perfectly. I think he looks badass with the kind of little whitening, graying areas of the hair and the 5 o'clock shadow and all that kind of stuff. And he looks most like the comic book version of Batman, if you think about it. And he's the tallest one, as I said before, too. And man, did he buff up for it. And he did a spectacular job as Batman and Bruce Wayne. A very Frank Miller-esque version of Bruce Wayne. Angry, brooding. I'm going to show you what a man is kind of thing. And, he's doing the whole voice thing. It's just freaking awesome, man. I loved it. Really, really fun. And, in looking at all this stuff, and seeing his performance, I thought he did a stellar job as Batman. Is definitely the comic book version of Batman and Superman. I also love the fact that there was a little nod to the original Superman movie in this movie with Christopher Reeve. I don't know if some of you guys caught that, so I'm going to just announce spoiler coming in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. If you guys who saw the movie already remember that they had this terrific sequence where Lois helped him out of the murky water to get rid of the kryptonite spear, and she was helping him out, which was very reminiscent of the original Christopher Reeve when Miss Tessmacher, Lex Luthor's assistant, was helping Superman by taking the chain ball of kryptonite off his neck. So nice little kind of connection you could make there, if you will, and it was terrific. And I love the fact that Zack Snyder has really made this his own thing in the sense that he really is not in competition with the old movies, with the Superman movies or the Nolan Batman. He's doing a comic book straightforward version, a version of the characters that have not been done yet before, and that's what I love about it. And do you guys agree? Please let me know and post your comments below. Continuing on, one of the other things I thought was very interesting is the fact that we've never seen this Jim Lee / really more Frank Miller version of Batman with the shorter ears. I personally love the longer ears as a design, but it looked great for the movie. It worked. Everything worked perfectly. For those of you who did not like Man of Steel, I had a lot of problems with Man of Steel, as I'm sure many of you did as well. Everything from Superman cracking the neck and all this kind of stuff, and it just kind of felt more bleak. They didn't have the excitement of, is Clark Kent Superman, and who is that, and the mystique of that. The Lois trying to figure it out, and all that's missing from this, and I would have loved to have that put back in. I think it's a mistake that everybody knows everybody's secret identity. I think that's a terrible mistake, personally. But it still does not take away from the awesomeness of the movie, and that the script was quite decent for the type of movie that they were doing. So that being said, the amazing factors of things in this movie. Let me start first by announcing again, spoiler alert. Don't listen if you haven't seen it yet. But one of the things I'll say, let's say that we have problems with, the Lex Luthor portrayal. Very well done, actually. He did a terrific job portraying Lex Luthor in this. But he seemed very reminiscent of the Joker, or of Heath Ledger's version of the Joker, a little bit psychotic and crazy. That's not really Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is supposed to be this very methodic, evil dictator, who actually a lot of people were posting online that they compare him to Donald Trump and Lex Luthor. It's kind of funny to read that. But, again, the whole point is that, the character of Lex Luthor, who eventually becomes president in the comic books and things, he just becomes this kind of psycho rich kid, who, has this vendetta against the heroes and stuff. And it makes sense, it's fine, but it's not the Lex Luthor that we all have known in the comics and previous movies. But still, great performance. He did a great job on it. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree? Did you like this version of Lex Luthor or not? What did you think? I think it was decent. I still would have had him a little bit more methodically, well put together so that he could, become that mastermind, like a genius evil guy. Because Lex Luthor is that genius of evil who uses his power for evil. So that would have been really cool to see that connection. They changed a lot of the storylines. Again, this is spoilers, guys, so if you're just tuning in. Shaving his head versus having him lose his hair directly because of Superman and the radiation or things along those lines. That was one of the storyline versions. So that was that. With regards to Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, really fun. I mean, she looks great. She did a terrific job. For me, Linda Carter will always be Wonder Woman, who I was very honored to meet twice. She's amazing and very, very hot. So it was great. And, a lot of people are saying, well, will she gain more weight? Can she be more buxom or whatever? Sure, that's cool. But, she did a terrific job. A lot of people were criticizing some of her acting. Her acting could definitely use a little bit of improvement when she's trying to show the dramatic drama scenes or when she was sad looking down toward the end. A lot of that was, could be improved. But she did a decent job. It was fine. She looks great. I enjoy her as the character. I think she did a good job. I already spoke about Ben Affleck and his actually really good performance. And Henry Cavill as Superman, I think he did fantastic. This is the first time I felt he was Superman, was in this movie. Also, that nice little spit curl that they put back on his hair when he got wet in the rain and things was great to see that. I really enjoyed that. That was nice to see that back. That's part of the Superman, persona. But his performance was very good. I think he did much better in this film than he did in the last one. I think in the last one he was a little bit, something was awkward about it. I don't know that it was so much Henry Cavill's fault. One of the big criticisms I always had in the previous film, Man of Steel, and guys tell me if you agree, is it always looked from the visual that those people that Zod was going to kill with his X-ray, burning vision, his heat vision, could have just kind of ducked and ran away. I thought it would have been better and made more sense if Superman made an attempt to fly, Zod, I meant to say, excuse me, I said Lex Luthor, Zod I'm referring to, tried to fly him up toward the ceiling, and then Zod uses his fly power to push him down, so he's stuck, and he can't be budged or moved. Now we've kind of crossed that T, dotted the I, and then if you have some of the gravel or some of the rooftop ceiling crumble down and crash down, entrapping those people in the corner at the end of Man of Steel, it would have made sense more for, Superman to have snapped Zod's neck at that point. They just didn't kind of cross the T and dot the I, so to speak, in that sequence. So a lot of people were shocked because we didn't feel he had to break his neck. And I think that it would have been much better if they did the things I just mentioned in order to make the audience feel, oh, he has no choice but to break his neck. I know they were trying for that, but they should have kind of done it a little tighter. Anyway, moving back to Batman v Superman. One of the great things about it, too, and by the way, if anybody knows why they put V instead of VS, because it's usually VS as versus, I'd be curious to hear about that. But again, Batman versus Superman, great overall, fun battle popcorn film. What a blast, man. It was just fun. I don't know what else anybody could ask to see in this movie. So moving on, by the way, how great did Cavill look? He thickened up his neck. He got really in shape again, which was great. Even more so than the last film. And I like the fact that Zack Snyder is a director. are making these characters older and more mature, because that was one of the things that I always disliked, is when they would make heroes younger. The heroes should always kind of feel older than us in a certain way. Even if we're older than them, they should appear like real, mature, fatherly-esque hero figure icons, right? So that's great. Like, even though Christopher Reeve was very young when he did Superman, he felt like a kind of heroic leader, father figure. Same as Chris Evans in Captain America, who really brings that character to life. Same as the fun playboy character of Robert Downey Jr. But anyway, going back to this, I know I'm a little bit all over the place because there's a lot to fit in. But let's go now to the cameo appearances. Wow. Okay, so let's start with Cyborg. Jesus Christ, was that freaking awesome, right? I mean, you know, they really effed him up badly in this. Like, Cyborg in the comic book, he has his full torso, head, arm, one of his legs, and his groin area. In this, they just did away with all of that, which is terrible. They really effed him up badly. He's almost nothing left of him, which is awful. But it looked so well done. I love that they got the guy from the Terminator 2 movie to play his father in the movie, which was great casting, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. And this kind of alien organic, you know, machine metal that gets connected to his body, boom, that was freaking awesome, you know? So really great way that they tied it into these data files that are discovered. Moving on to Aquaman, I would have liked to see him do a little bit more, but it was great to see him. They didn't really have him do too much, but still, nonetheless, it was cool to see him. And great appearance by the Flash. Woo! That was so exciting. The audience went ballistic in the Imax theater when we saw it on Monday. Oh my God. It was like the best screening, man. You know, like, just to see Bruce Wayne sitting there and then Flash just, boom, goes through time. He travels through time and reaches out toward Bruce Wayne to, like, really envelop him and warn him Lois is the key. Oh, man, it was freaking awesome, man. I loved it. I loved it. I really felt, like, rejuvenated from this. I feel like a kid again, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, you know, take a break from the mundane seriousness of life and just have fun for a day. It was like a visual party, you know? So to see him there, and a lot of people missed, actually, that was the Flash. He is wearing a red suit, for those of you who question, and he has that battle armor that comes over him to protect him. But it was a great cameo. And then also to have that little sequence in the data files when Bruce was reviewing it, that was cool also. I think, like all of you, I really wish that they used Grant Gustin, if I'm saying his name correctly, from the Flash TV series. He's so good in that TV series. That was one of my favorite TV shows. So it's a shame they didn't incorporate and blend the universes together a little bit more. I love that Marvel does that. I love that Marvel has one cohesive universe. TV, movie, same characters interacting. Everything fits together like a beautiful story arc. It's great. In DC, they have their very separate versions. You have your cartoon version, you have your TV version, you have your movie version. That's fine. You know, listen, that's okay, but it definitely, I think as a kid, that would confuse the hell out of me if I was, like, you know, 4 years old, 5 years old, seeing, you know, two different actors playing the Flash. It's kind of, you know, like a kid. One of the things I loved about being a kid, you guys tell me if you agree, was seeing, you know, one actor portray your hero, and that's the hero, and you believe it, and you fall into it, and you just, you know, go into that beautiful creativity land of fantasy. But when you kind of have different actors playing the parts and they're recasting, it breaks the illusion. I think for little kids, definitely, you know, did it for me a lot of times when they kept starting to recast as I got older. But you know, guys, tell me what you think. Do you agree with that or disagree? It's a very interesting kind of, you know, scenario. I love what Christopher Nolan did. He took a story arc, Dark Knight, Batman, and that's his story arc, you know? Second movie with Heath Ledger being one of the best, I think, films. One of the best films. Other great films, RoboCop 1, the original, amazing. But anyway, we can talk about that forever. So focusing back on this and moving on, wow, what an amazing sequence to see also Wonder Woman from, I think it was 1913, and that she hasn't aged, you know, implying her, you know, immortality and that she's, you know, very old. but looks young, and just really, really well done stuff. Very, very nice. Let's see, I think all of those big moments, leading to the crescendo of the big battle sequence. And just the opening of the movie alone, what a genius idea to really show the other angle and perspective of Bruce and his kind of viewpoint of what that attack when Superman was fighting Zod came down to be. I mean, that was very, very intense. So to see it from a different perspective, to realize that Bruce Wayne the whole time was there, to realize that the collateral damage that we all complained about in Man of Steel would tie into this. Genius. I thought it was great to see it from the other angle, to show that he had lost people who worked for him in the building. Very 9/11-esque feel to it, which was kind of creepy for a lot of us New Yorkers who, lived through all that stuff, to kind of see it on the film that way. But all in all, like an amazingly well choreographed piece, and really fit and made sense why Batman hates Superman so much in the beginning, because he feels Superman brought all this pain to, innocent people. And had he never come, it wouldn't have happened. Definitely a more selfish take on Superman's parents. That was kind of a big deal over there. Both of them like, hey, you don't owe this world anything, and blah, blah, blah. Different perspective, but that works, I think, in today's society. A lot of people are a little bit more self-loving and self-indulgent and a little bit more selfish these days. So it was kind of, I guess it fits with the time, so to speak. But it's great that he kind of fought against that and still sacrifices himself to save the people. So that was another, kind of interesting take on it as well. I liked, Deanna Troy's performance, before she becomes Wonder Woman. I thought that was a very good build-up. The Frank Miller shots, from The Dark Knight Returns. For those of you guys who have not seen the comic book Dark Knight Returns or the recent animation that they did, please watch it. It was freaking awesome. And you really get to see some of those shots, like when Superman has the nuclear blast explode at him and he kind of turns skeletal looking and gets his power back from the yellow sun. That was wonderful. I was very impressed with the way Lex Luthor was able to manipulate Superman and force him to fight with Batman. I thought that was really well done too. And the fight sequence. Wow, let's talk about the freaking battle of the century with these guys. Just wailing away, pow, 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 non-stop. How cool was it too when Batman is wearing this suit over here of armor and he punches Superman and he goes kink, and Superman's jaw is stronger than steel and crushes his glove. I was like freaking 5 years old in that movie theater. I turned into a 5-year-old. I'm screaming like this. I'm all excited. My girlfriend is freaking out. My godbrothers are freaking out. My friend Clay is freaking out. We're all going ballistic. We were just going bananas in the theater, Everybody was. It was great. So just the nonstop action. And for the first time, thank you, Zack Snyder, you have choreographed the freaking hell out of Batman fighting. Oh, so freaking great. Methodic choreography from heaven with this fight sequence, man. He was punching and kicking and fighting and dodging and they showed it. No quick shaky camera angles or, kind of faking the fight sequence or getting around it. They really made it an epic sequence, and it was nonstop, and it was well thought out. It was brilliant. I loved the way they did this stuff. I just thought it was really fun and great. And really, what more can you ask from a movie called Batman vs. Superman, but exactly what it is? And they delivered. I was so freaking scared, guys, and you tell me if you were too, when I saw that Jimmy Kimmel trailer where they were like, oh, Clark Kent, meet Bruce Wayne, and and he's talking in that funny voice, Lex Luthor, I was so concerned it was going to be weird, and when he says, oh, is she with you? Batman says to Superman about Wonder Woman. I was really worried that they're going to fight for like 5 minutes and then become best friends or some crap. And they didn't do that. And it was brilliant the way they woke up Bruce and they shocked him. And in all the years that I have been a fan of comic books since I'm a baby, I never put together, another big spoiler, so be careful, I never put together that Martha was the name of both Superman and Batman's mothers. I did not realize that. Martha Kent, I know Martha Wayne. I never connected that. I want to go back and check that, but I really was shocked. I never made that same name connection before. So what a brilliant way to have Superman, say we have to save Martha, and then that shocks the hell out of him because, of course, he's remembering his mother, and then learns that Clark or Superman's mother actually has the same first name. Genius! It woke up the Batman Bruce Wayne persona to snap out of his let me shoot everybody and kill everybody who's bad to wait a minute, am I becoming the bad guy? Am I gonna take away this kid from his mother, let his mother die? You know what I'm saying? While I'm wasting time fighting him, and it just boom, it woke him up, which was genius. Everyone was like freaking floored with that. So David S. Goyer, who was one of the co-writers on the movie, stellar job as usual, man, great work. And it was a really good emotional moment. They tied in just enough stuff to just make it really thick and feel full. It didn't feel like there were multiple ends to the movie. It really ended well. And then, of course, at the end, when Superman sacrifices himself, to stop, again, big spoiler, Doomsday, and, really just rescue everybody. Wow, was that amazing. I mean, it was amazing. It really was amazing. And then to tie in the death of Superman in this movie, and to end the movie with the lead character, Superman here, going down and being killed, and then in that last moment, big spoiler, guys, so just saying it again, when the ground and the dirt starts to kind of rise up to realize that Superman, in fact, has healed and is about to burst out of that coffin, freaking awesome, man. It was great. So that was terrific. Now, let's get to Doomsday. Wow, how great was it to see him start to grow the bone spears out of his body? I mean, that was really awesome. And the big concern that people had on the internet, about how he looked. So he grew into Doomsday. A little bit, of course, as a comic book fan who went through the whole, death of Superman, they had to tie that whole storyline up in a matter of 15, 20 minutes. Kind of rushed in a way, utilizing Zod's body to grow a character like that with the DNA blood from Lex Luthor. Clever, very clever. It's not the comic book. It's not the story in the comic book, but hey, it works for the movie if you could kind of let go of the knowledge you have from the comic. It's difficult, I know, and a lot of you guys I know will be pissed off about it, but I try to just kind of really let go of that, and I'm very grateful and thankful that they've put in as much from the comics as they did in this movie. First big live-action movie in the past 30 years where you see Batman wearing actual material on the outside of his suit, like the comic books. Really amazing and impressive, guys. I can't wait to hear your comments too. I read all your comments. I look forward to reading your comments. So please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to post your comments below and give me your opinions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think? And then, of course, moving on to the awesome sequence, where she uses her lasso. My God, Wonder Woman using her golden lasso to try to stop Doomsday. That was freaking badass. For those of you who don't know, the art of Batman versus Superman is out now, so you should definitely pick it up. It looks really cool. It's a great book. I just got it as well. And for some of those guys who are collecting some of these figures, they also released in Canada an exclusive Batman vs. Superman 6-inch figure in the Multiverse line with a removable mask. Here in the States, the mask is sculpted onto it. And that's in the extra posable figure, like the $29 figures. But they're going for $60, $70 on eBay right now. But it's really cool. The mask is like a kind of plasticky mask that fits over his face. It looks awesome. So that's cool. Also, the Barbie figures are pretty damn decent. They have double joints in the elbows and knees. They have the mask removable on Batman. Very cool stuff. Nice sublimation prints on the suits. So very good stuff for those of you who are interested. Back to the review again here. Batman versus Superman. What an overall epic film. It felt very satisfying. It felt like a real, I'm just going to go and watch these two guys beat the hell out of each other. It was like a boxing match, It really was like a boxing match or a WWE, wrestling match. It was just fun. It was great. I'm not going there to see these two guys, you know, talk to one another like, you know, a movie, you know, a big drama movie like Schindler's List or some horrifying thing like that. You know, I'm going there to see these two guys fight and battle each other to the end, you know, and that's exactly what we saw in the commercial, and that's what they delivered. It was terrific. So, you know, I would just totally remember that a lot of those film critics, as skilled and talented as they are, some of them miss, and it's sad, they miss the enjoyment of being able to walk into a movie and watch two heroes fight. You know, it was just a blast. And sometimes, you know, I feel like the ones who are really missing out are those reviewers, because they didn't get a chance to enjoy this feeling, this party. You know what I mean? They're like the sulky guy at the party who's not having fun. That's a shame. Go in there and enjoy this stuff, man.